Here's the problem in where it lies is as investors, ourselves included, we have to look at data to give us as much of a predictable outcome as possible, right? To kind of try to narrow in on how much is the consumer spending in a certain market, what are properties making in a certain market, and where are they located, all those different things. We're looking at all that data. Where it becomes a problem is, well, in my opinion, is we look at that data. We want to kind of have some level of predictability on our return on investment on buying these properties. But what we're doing is we're looking and saying, what does everybody else have? What do the top properties have? Which is very similar to what the middle of the road properties have, by the way, in most markets. And we say, I'm going to go emulate that. I'm going to go make sure that I look like that because that one is doing well. The issue is now all of a sudden we're just a comparable property. We become one of many. If you really want to get an ROI, you have to go outside of the comparables, the comp sets. Very, very important. I'm not saying not to have the comp sets. The comp sets are very valuable and we use them all day, every day. But we have to also now remove ourselves and say, okay, now how can I create a category of one within this marketplace that I don't have anything to compare to? And many times, and what we do, we call it our immersive design experience and how we create these immersive designs because we want them to be different. We want them to be unique. And we have to understand consumer behavior. We talk about this over and over and over again, and I will continue to talk about it until it becomes less of an unfair advantage, because right now it's a massive unfair advantage to understand this on the front end. And what we're really trying to do in a nutshell is to create a category of one. I want to operate in a marketplace of one, right? That way the consumer says, I can't really compare Sean's properties to everybody else's properties. That's my goal. And so if I come out with a beautiful property that operates and sits in the middle or the top of the market and looks comparable to other top properties, all of a sudden the consumer is going to judge me based on my price. I want to remove price completely out of the equation from the consumer. But you mentioned something earlier too, Mike, is I want to remove the out of the equation that they have another option besides mine if they like mine. I better book this before somebody else does. And usually that's at a premium price. If we give the consumer a reason to do that, they will do it. If we don't.
Well, Sean, to tap into that a little more, just looking at overarching consumer behavior, right?
Yeah.
Let's look at just some of the higher end fashion brands in shopping. Let's take purses, for example. Okay. You go to any vacation rental area and you have a Coach outlet. Okay. You've got the Gucci outlet. You never see a Louis Vuitton outlet. You got to go buy that, right? You don't see Versace typically. Like the reality is all these crazy brands, people are always trying to get into the next highest brand that they can afford, but none of it makes rational sense. Buying a Louis Vuitton handbag, you know why Louis Vuitton is actually famous? Because they invented vinyl. Okay. A Louis Vuitton trunk used to be very, 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 very heavy. And they started with trunks because they were all made out of leather and wood and metal. And Louis Vuitton was the first thinker to go, we're going to figure out how to use lighter weight materials that still hold up to travel. Thus, vinyl was born. And what most people don't realize is most Louis Vuitton bags are vinyl printed bags with leather trim that you're paying $2,500 to $5,000 for. Why do people do that? Because sales are about psychology, not just pretty things. Because there are plenty of prettier bags than a vinyl Louis Vuitton printed bag that don't outsell Louis Vuitton. When it comes to short-term rentals, a lot of people think that design is about making the space look nice. But the highest performing properties aren't just designed for looks, they're designed for decisions. Okay. So with that Vodyssey signature recipe, the lens looks different. We're not asking, does this look good? We're asking, why is someone traveling here? Who are they when they travel here? What's their family composition? What are they looking for? What do we want them to feel? And what do they want to feel when they walk in the door? Because bookings aren't happening pragmatically from logic here. Because it's not logical to buy a Louis Vuitton bag. It's not logical to buy a Gucci bag. It's not logical to buy these brands. But if you go to many, many places, there's like 100 of these stores selling at full price. Like go to Vegas. It's in every shopping mall. But how are these stores surviving? Because people shop emotionally. And if your space doesn't create feeling, it doesn't create demand. So you have to start designing for approval and start designing for action. Okay. Like, don't try to impress your friends, or worse, don't design it like your personal home. Does this look nice? Do I like it? Or what are people gonna say about this? Are my friends gonna think it's weird that I did this? The only literal question that matters is the decision I'm trying to make going to make someone want to book me over somebody else? Design isn't decoration, it's marketing.
Yeah.
We're designing for behavior, emotion. The moment where someone goes in and says, this one feels different, that's the shift. Approval of a good design doesn't pay you anything, but call to action because you've created emotional connectivity absolutely does. So you've got to create in a home, not create a home, create an experience in a home. A home is functional, but an experience is vacation that never stops.
Yeah, and it comes down to, just like every premium brand, also why we always say we want to be a category of one. We want to be different. We want to be unique, because inherently consumers understand scarcity, right? We understand exclusive brands limit how many, like there's a limited run on stuff, right? And so if they can,
like to use the purse example, the Birkin bag, right? There's only it is a handful of people that get one every year, and they pay 20 grand for that. What's that?
I said I want to talk about like exclusive, like leather handmade saddles or something like that. Like you're throwing me for a loop on the bags, because I don't.
Sorry, I got a whole lot of girls in my life.
You're showing that you're outnumbered at home, Mike.
Yeah, I got my wife, my daughters, all their friends.
You're outnumbered.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree though. It's there's a limited, we don't get to talk to people. We literally have to articulate all of this through literally scrolling on a platform, on Airbnb, on Vrbo, on Facebook, on Instagram, for doing direct.
Yeah.
All of those things have to be articulated. Scarcity, uniqueness, all of that stuff has to be articulated in a way that the consumer chooses us, pays a premium for our stuff, without us even being able to talk to them, without us running a whole bunch of ads and understanding our brand and everything else. That's really, really difficult to do. But when you kind of figure out the recipe, it is absolutely doable, right? And so it's one of those things that is, in my opinion, going to be our biggest unfair advantage moving forward. And like not to, Andrea's question was a great question. A lot of people want to know it, but a lot of people are focusing on, how do I become more affordable? What do I worry about, like with travelers not spending money? I promise you guys, in good times, bad times, there's always people who are going to struggle in the bad times, and you're going to have more people struggling than you have, during the good times. But there's a lot of people who are doing well during the bad times as well. There are people who profit during these times, and I've just found it much easier in business to focus on that group of people who are willing to pay a premium, and not focus on the people that are on strict budgets and that are really struggling right now, because
well, you know why?
Is brutal.
Because you're already booked when the problem happens.
We're still limited. We truly are limited. There really is scarcity with what we do. We have 30 days a month to book. If I can now make it to where I am not a commodity, commodities do not trade at a premium. Never have, never will. Really nice, beautiful homes have become a commodity in the Airbnb, short-term rental, Vrbo, all of that. That space has become, there's nice homes that are commodities in my opinion, right? And so you see this all the time while we're analyzing our members' properties and we're auditing properties. How often do you see a property, you're like, man, this is really nice. And it's hard to tell them, man, we're missing the boat because we don't have anything unique, because everybody else is really nice, right?